Her name is Fiona Lalli. She is part of the Revolutionary Communists, and once again, a brilliantly well-spoken person. Part of the conversation around Bob Vylan that I want to get into today, this is what this is about, is it seems that a bunch of the pro-Israel, pro-Zionist commentators are now going back to day one. It's all about denouncing October 7th. It's all this. And it seems that some of the people who are talking on behalf of Palestinian innocent civilians are doing that thing where they're not condemning the actions. And I'll let them speak for themselves, but it feels to me like we're at a point now where whether you do or don't condemn the actions of Hamas on October 7th, and for people who don't know us, we have condemned them since day one, actually the amount of carnage, genocide, bombing that Israel has done is a disproportionately large response to that day. So it's actually like you don't need to denounce it anymore, because like on day one, it was like, what are they going to do? Of course we denounce it. On day 700 or whatever we're at right now, must be getting close to that, nearly 2 years. That this is now a diversionary tactic for the conversation. That's what it is. To make people stop again. Remember, we were saying this a year ago about Piers Morgan. No one was saying, do you denounce the actions of the IDF dropping bombs onto civilians? But all of those people like Piers Morgan were saying, do you denounce Hamas? And it feels like we're going back there. And it feels like the smart communicators like this lady, Fiona Lalli, are going, you're not going to divert me from the important issue at hand. So let's have a bit of a look. I mean, I don't know if we'll play the whole thing. There's about 6 minutes, but I was trying to get a couple of short grabs, but there's sort of good stuff all the way through. We'll see how we go with watching some of it or most of it or all of it, and what this young activist has to say. By the way, the person she's mostly arguing with is a GB host, the female GB host. Her name is Nana Akua. And she thinks BLM is a far-left Marxist pressure group, and she criticised people for taking the knee against racism. So the woman that she's going to argue with, that's what she's about.
So Bob Vylan, obviously now being condemned by multiple members of parliament, congressmen. There's, attempts in America to now have their visas revoked. They said there were anti-Semitic comments by lots of anti-Semitism campaign groups. The irony of all of this is in 2020, Bob Vylan were supposedly giving racism the middle finger at concerts against racism. Do you think they are just purely shameless, looking to get 15 minutes of fame?
So obviously he's implying that Bob Vylan is being racist. That's what he's implying. This guy's a moron. Like, you can see if people on like Fox News or Sky News or have a certain look, they get hired. He's a moron, because what he's saying is he's supposed to be anti-racist. How can he be critical of the IDF? That's the point he's making.
Now, I think I'm really glad that this has happened, because it's giving us an opportunity to expose the IDF and say, what is the IDF? The IDF is a monstrous imperialist army that has killed over 100,000 Palestinians on behalf of Israel, and it is committing barbaric acts every single day. And the way that the media has reported on this has been astounding, but it actually makes people feel sick, because, yeah, there was horrific violence over the weekend, but it wasn't at Glastonbury. It was in Palestine. It was soldiers from the IDF consciously shooting Palestinians who are queuing up for aid. And they do that on purpose.
Okay, so
in fact, they are instructed to do that. They are instructed to do that.
Fiona, you are aware.
That's disgusting.
You are aware that Hamas have instructed the death of Palestinians who are assisting with the aid delivery. I mean,
Now, I haven't heard this. I suspect it's a talking point lie, or maybe it's an IDF talking point. I'll Google it. I'll look it up. But the point that Nana is making is that no. That's Hamas shooting them. That's basically what she's saying. It's not IDF shooting them. That's Hamas shooting them.
It's a fact. You are aware of that. So that's a fact. No. I'm telling you a fact. Hamas are doing that, and they're killing their own people, and they're urging others to kill any Palestinians who are helping with the aid delivery.
No,
Are you
that's
aware
not
of
true.
that?
That's
No,
not
but
true.
it's-
And when the mainstream media and people like yourself say these things, everything you do acts as justification for the IDF
No, there's no
and for
justification.
Netanyahu.
No.
And so you're a bit like Keir Starmer, actually.
Can I take
Keir
you
Starmer
slightly?
also does this.
I don't think the audience will agree with that. I mean, they know.
I thought you'd find that funny.
Can I just take a slightly nuanced approach?
What you do when you say these things is line up with the rest of Western imperialism, which is to say that Israel has the right to do what it is doing. Israel has the right to genocide the Palestinian people.
First of all, it's not been confirmed as a genocide. Even the International Court of Justice have not called it that. So you may see it that way. That is your choice.
But do you see what I mean? We're back to day one.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
We're back to day.
Actually, it's not technically a genocide. I don't know. When you've got a list of, I think, 27 internationally renowned scholars of the study of genocide saying, yeah, it's a fucking genocide. I'm sorry, what's her name? Nana?
Nana Akua. Nah.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is what I predict is going to happen over the next few weeks. It's back to day one for them. They're back to their talking points. They're back to condemn. They're back to no genocide. They're back to right to defend themselves. And people like Fiona are doing brilliantly at saying I'm not going to jump to the music you're playing. I'm going to stay and sing my own song, and I'm not going to get distracted. We'll keep going with it because it's brilliant.
But secondly, I just noticed that you've not condemned Hamas, and you keep
for fuck's sake.
Like out of nowhere. So she was supposed to sit down and go.
I've just noticed.
She was supposed to sit down and go, "Hey, thanks for having me. I condemn Hamas." Sorry, what's your first question? Like, she hasn't.
This is dreadful.
Out of nowhere.
For Hamas. Are you saying that what happened on October the 7th was not acceptable?
When you do this,
no, I'm asking
another people in the media do this. Again, it is to justify. Nothing justifies genocide against the Palestinian people. I'm here to tell you exactly what I think.
But could you just
I'm not going to stand here and condemn Hamas. I'm not going to do that.
You're not going
I'm
to
going to stand here and condemn the IDF, the occupation, and the role of Western imperialism in that entire region.
Fiona, hang on 1 second, just 1 moment.
I am here to condemn Keir Starmer and David Lammy and the British government and British imperialism's role in this occupation and in this genocide.
You cannot sit there and seriously say you will not condemn Hamas, who have
I can say whatever I like.
Well, you can, but I tell you what, the British public are watching you. The British public are watching you, and if you will not condemn terrorists, people who have caused absolute chaos upon the Palestinian people, the ones that started this conflict, can you see the disdain the British public, the people of Palestine, Jewish people will have for you?
That's what I'm saying. It felt like we could kind of get out here, but Fiona just keeps on hitting them.
You're right. It's a rewind.
Yeah.
It's a rewind.
Yeah.
To 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm having a stroke.
Well, let's let Fiona do the dirty work. Well, it's not dirty work, but let her keep on hitting because she keeps on hitting. So the guy, the whatever he's supposed to be, has said, "Are you seriously think you can sit here and not condemn them?" That's where we left off.
Happy to condemn terrorists. Let's start with Keir.
Condemn Hamas.
Let's start with Keir Starmer. Let's start with David Lammy.
Let's start with the people that started this war.
And let's talk about the IDF. Let's talk about the IDF.
Who started the war on October the 7th?
I'll tell you, it began in 1948 with the forced expulsion
No, it did
of
not.
hundreds of thousands of Palestinians.
Further back than that.
We can get into a historical discussion.
You are
It's not
correct.
worthwhile.
You are so correct. In fact, the British were entirely involved in setting up the Zionist state. They were entirely involved in that. So British imperialism historically is responsible for those crimes, and today it is still responsible for those crimes. And what makes you so angry, actually, is the fact that more people support people like Bob Vylan. More people in Britain actually want to see an end to the occupation. They don't support Britain sending arms to Israel.
What people want, Fiona, is an end to war.
Enrages you.
And they don't support Bob Vylan spouting out vile anti-Semitism. I don't want you to sit here and call the British public racist and anti-Semitic, because they do not support Bob. We just said the vast majority of people support Bob.
I'm just imagining.
Who are these idiots?
Well, possibly what they are is a new version of a Muppet. In the old days, you used to put your hand up the backside of the Muppet to work the mouth. Now they talk into the earpiece, and there could be people because Fiona's kicking ass. She is winning this, and she is controlling the studio. So who knows what's going on in their earpieces right now about saying anything at all? Do you want to watch the last 90 seconds, Chewie? Do you want to feel like it? We can do it if you want. Do you want to keep seeing?
Go
keep
on. I want to see. They're hitting all the right-wing greatest hits at the moment, so I just want to see what else they've got in their bag.
Yep. All right.
Bob Vylan said, you just said that, and they do not overwhelmingly.
I think you're upset about
I'm upset that there's a man who's been given a platform
I
to spout
think
out.
you're
So you're not
upset.
upset about 100,000 Palestinians.
Who said
killed.
that?
You're not
You're
upset
putting words
about the
into my
fact that
mouth.
the IDF
Fiona,
killed
I don't want
children.
children to die.
Fiona.
Don't shout at me,
Fiona.
please. Yes.
Can you not condemn Hamas?
I've told you.
No, but I'm asking. It's a yes or no.
Okay.
So don't do.
I've actually already answered that question.
So
I've
is there a
answered
yes
that
or no
question.
to that?
And the other reason why you guys
there
act
isn't.
like this is because you want to intimidate people from speaking out about the Palestinian movement. You want to criminalise the entire Palestinian movement.
Yep.
In fact, today,
It's interesting.
today there are activists on trial. The Filton 18, they're on trial, and the state is using counter-terrorism laws against them for the role that they have played to disrupt the Israeli war
GBNews
machine.
giving your opinion out on the airwaves.
And you're
Yes,
telling
I
us what
am.
we
Yes, I
think.
am.
You
On
don't
the
know.
airwaves.
You tell us we're scared of
Fiona,
you.
don't
Tell
know
us
what
you're
we
scared.
think.
You know, this is the ridiculous thing, isn't it? Tell us we're scared. We having you on here to give your opinion to the British public. What I'm not going to sit here and do is agree with you just because you think I should.
No,
which is what
we're
all of you
definitely not
lot
gonna
aggressively
agree.
think we should all sit
We're
there
definitely
going,
not gonna
yes, I
agree.
agree with your argument. I don't agree with your
We're
argument in
def-
the slightest.
We're definitely not going to agree.
Although I guarantee you, he couldn't verbalise why he didn't agree. He can, but he couldn't verbalise why.
But what I'm pointing out is that I think the reason that you are so shocked by what I'm saying, and a lot of the mainstream
We're not
media
shocked.
over the
We're
weekend
not
is so
angry.
shocked that other people
we're
are
not
chanting
rustled.
with Bob Vylan, is because you are so out of touch with the real mood in society, and the real mood in society is on the side of the Palestinians.
The problem we're having here,
and you've lost that
the
whole
problem we're having
debate,
here,
and I think that's
Fiona, the problem we're having
shouting
here
again.
is you continuously tell us what we think, but you don't listen to what we're thinking. So if you would just listen
you
a bit
think
more,
the genocide of the Palestinians
if you listen, let me finish. Let me finish. Sorry. If you listen to what people have to say, then perhaps instead of telling me what I think, you might listen to what I think.
We watched that video the other day with Candace Owens, where she spent so long telling the person that she wouldn't let her talk than talking. It's exactly what's happening right now. She's telling her to stop telling her what she's thinking rather than just listen to what she's thinking, and then she's not saying what she's thinking. It's a very interesting tactic.
And that's, I think, this is a real problem with your argument. You don't listen. You don't listen to what people think. You have no idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
And at no point did she then tell her what she thinks.
That's so condescending.
Look, can I sound a little bit sort of 50s daddish? These young women of colour coming out of the UK are fucking fire when it goes on this conversation. Like, no patronising, nothing like that. I'm just like, who better to to force the patriarchal, primarily white mainstream media to jump through fucking hoops than young women of colour? And I'm for it, man. I want to see these guys more and more and more. And so well spoken and so keeping their cool. It wasn't her that lost her cool. She said at one stage, like the mum. She was like the mum. Well, listen, the reason you were so upset, it was fine. It was complete.
The reason you're upset was devastating.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Look, we've highlighted, as you said, a couple of devastatingly effective communicators who just so happen to be young women of colour. I actually thought one of them was someone that was in probably one of my favourite photos of all time. But it's not, because there are more. There are more out there. Have you heard of Sophia Khan?
The name rings a bell, but no, I'll say no because I don't.
She's an artist and an activist in the UK, and this image popped up a few years where she stood up to the front line of a racist protest from the English Defence League, the EDL. And it is one of my favourite images.
Yeah, I have seen
because
that.
it has the police there being utterly ineffective, and she is just staring down this English racist with just the smirk on her face of like, I will outlast you, brother.
Can I also say one thing that I love about that more than anything almost is she's taller than him. That's awesome. Little man syndrome.
Hand in the pocket, staring right at him, smirk on her face. It's just that this is the thing. These women have come through the system, have seen everything that the system wants to do. They know how the media operates. To go on a show like that, which they're not there to get a discussion out of her. No. They're there to set her off. They want an outburst. And she didn't give it to them. And they look like petulant children throwing their toys and going, actually, no, I'm not mad. You're mad. You're mad saying that I'm mad. You know, it was just like, I think she is 100% right. And I think this is the most glaring thing as I've looked at media from the UK over the last couple of days, is the glaring disconnect from the general public.
Yeah.
The media is really hitting these obvious Israeli talking points, and they're just crawling over themselves to downplay the mass movement aspect of this. Glastonbury is huge. And I think as much as they're talking about what Bob Vylan said, as much as what they're saying about Kneecap or Amel and the Sniffers said, what really scares them with that footage is the sheer amount of people waving Palestinian flags, giving a shit about what's happening in Gaza, and very, very clearly identifying here that the side that is causing the most harm, the most death, that is causing the genocide is Israel, and just going, I don't care what our historical links are. I don't care if we consider these people an ally. This country is the bad guy based on their words and actions.
Especially actions.
Because we see it. We see it in our phones. We see it. We don't see it in the mainstream media. We see it in the alternative and the peer-to-peer media. And that disconnect of what we're seeing and where we're seeing it is showing us what's happening. And they can't shape that narrative. And they're flailing.
And this, right? This, I don't know if this is the same video you had, but this. I mean, they say a picture says 1,000 words. This is, look at that. Look at that hole. Do you know what that hole is?
That's a 2,000-pound bomb.
That's where it landed. So this to me, and in fact, we've seen this, but look, that shot there. I mean, how far can we see? Literally as far as the eye can see. Every building is damaged. For some reason, that looks not as damaged, but you know, every building is damaged. And like they can't hide this, because I'm on YouTube right now and I typed Gaza drone, and this is what you get.
And on some platforms, if you type that in, you're going to get other results as well, which are unpalatable. I'll say that much. But I want to talk about the capability of the Israelis here. The capability of the Israelis are they're able to hunt people for years and exactly hit their targets. They're able to put drones through someone's bedroom window thousands of miles away to get exactly who they want to get. So what's happening in Gaza is a choice.
Yeah.
They could decapitate Hamas leadership if they wanted to. They could take their time, hunt out the players, roll up their information networks. They have that capability. They also have the capability to absolutely decimate every population center and move civilians from one end to the other and then back again, and then starve them, and then when they congregate, bomb them again, whether it's a cafe or a refugee center or a hospital. Like, you cannot tell me, you condemn the actions of Hamas. It's not Hamas killing ambulance drivers, burying them in a hole in their vehicles in the desert, lying about it and then getting caught out in the lie. It's not Hamas that has been driving bulldozers over shackled prisoners. It is not Hamas, and this is the most egregious one that I have heard, that rounded up hospital workers from a hospital that they stormed, and they took away staff, physicians and nurses away from a ward of children in incubators, and they left them there to die and rot. Children in incubators. And we're still talking about Bob Vylan.
Well,
saying
I mean,
death to the IDF.
I
say we, the Western world.
Yeah. I saw something on Twitter today, and trigger warnings for some words I'm about. I won't even say the words, but there was a tweet out there that went through my algorithm, not someone I follow, I don't know where it came from, but a picture of IDF soldiers using their shields as cover, whilst behind the shield, one of the IDF soldiers was forcing himself on a lady. And it said something like, the tweet said something like, but yeah, bad words from Bob Vylan. You know, it's like...
Rape, torture, child murder, targeting journalists, aid workers. There is no justification. Do you condemn Hamas?
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly.
off.
Yeah.
Would be
Good.
And this is why they don't put me on these panel shows, because I
Is that
would
the
not
only
have the composure.
Are you turning down their invites, are you? Are you saying, no, not for me, not for me? I know, Chewie, there's a funny thing, though, just a little addendum to what you just said in a
I would
jest.
give them a hot 5 minutes of unbroadcastable content.
But I don't know, like this is, I know you're saying that in jest somewhat, but I actually don't know if I could return to mainstream media. Genuinely don't know if I could. Like I did a RNZ a few Mondays back with Jesse, and 2 or 3 times I'd be like, it's fucking awesome. And I was like, oh shit, it's really good. It's like I just don't know. I don't know if the parameters would work. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know. Kai Matara, GBNews equal gross bullshit news. Rewise says, okay, new sacks of soup. And again, Kai Matara says, does BBC mean BB's cretins? BB is... Yes, we got that.
Look, there are stories that have come out today of people quitting the BBC because of this. And again,
because of Bob Vylan being broadcast?
Partly. No,
because of what the BBC's done after it.
Because of the BBC's actions, editing, not broadcasting kneecap or, they're like, this is enough moment for some people that work at the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, it is so blatant. The BBC has been an amazing organisation, and like I saw an interview with what's that? He's an British football.
Gary Lineker.
I don't know what is it. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah,
where he was talking about the BBC, and the interviewer was like, "Well, the BBC has to be impartial," and he goes, "No, the BBC needs to be accurate."
Yes.
Like,
yes.
and this is the thing, if you're confronted with a genocide, how can you be impartial?
Here we go.
You can't. You can be accurate.
Oh, I haven't read the story. I don't know what it says, but it's luckily we've got GBNews again. Gary Lineker made his stance clear on the controversy surrounding Bob Vylan's Glastonbury performance. The rap duo sparked outrage, yada, yada, yada. Where does it say the bit about? In the Sunday Post, he recalled how his daughter had asked for healthier school dinners. Oh, I don't know. Probably shouldn't have just pulled up an article I hadn't pre-read. Anyway, he's a bit of a radical as Gary Lineker. He said some things in the past that he's got in trouble for at the BBC and had to kind of retract, but there've been some of them.
And there's a reason for that. Like, football is the working class entertainment. So a lot of those guys have come up through that career and they're still hold to working class ideals. But this is the thing, is why is the BBC carrying so much water for the state of Israel? Why are they happy to to sacrifice to an entire generation their credibility by just going, no, the sky here is green. Everybody agrees that it's green. And if you're pointing out that it's blue, well, then you're just blah. You know, it makes no sense. Like that, I've seen a lot of criticism here of RNZ for being passive when talking about what's happening in Gaza. And you see it called out in the comment section. Every time they post a story about Gaza, they take the passive voice and they take Israel's talking points.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong positioning statement. I wouldn't mind stealing it. We need to be accurate. And that's why when you have a debate on, I don't know, climate change, a one-on-one is not necessarily what you need to do. It's like for every 9 people we have on talking about climate change, you can have one that doesn't, because that's accurate. You know, it doesn't need to be the other way around. Just as an aside, in an apparent show of support for the duo, Gary Lineker liked an Instagram post, a move that came as no surprise to eagle-eyed users on social media. He liked an Instagram post. Critics quickly voiced their disapproval, including journalist Stephen Pollan, who accused Lineker of endorsing, quote, a man who led death chants against Jews. Pollard wrote sarcastically on S, I'm stunned to see Gary Lineker liking a post by a man who led a death chant against Jews. I would never have predicted it. Actress Tracy Ann Oberman echoed the sentiment, adding, stunned, I'd say, followed by a laughing emoji. Isn't it absolutely ridiculous how the media is now commenting and making stories about emojis? This is a story about an emoji. Others weighed in with one user saying, I'm not surprised at all. Another added, Lineker can't help himself at this stage, can he? So he liked the post, and that's the story.